North Dakota State ran through Missouri State in a conference opener to finish the month of September a perfect 4-0. The Bison now play the next two games away from their home turf, starting with Indiana State boasting an FCS best 10-game road winning streak. The Sycamores and the Bison from Terre Haute is coming up next.
Get your horns out! Yeah, you can hear the herd coming, baby, like it or not. We've been waiting while tailgating in the parking lot. Now that clock is ticking down, the boys are ready to go. The energy in here's electric. Let's get on with the show. Get your horns up. Green and gold are back in town. Get your horns up. Pumped up and ready to throw down. Toss that corn up in the air. Bring the boys up to the line. Hold your horns up high because it's Bison time.
Hello and welcome to Terre Haute, Indiana Memorial Stadium here on the campus of Indiana State University for NDSU football here on the KVLY KFYR Bison Television Network. Thanks so much for joining us. Brian Shaw and Lee Timmerman back with you once again as NDSU takes the road for the first time in conference play against a Sycamore team that is still looking for their first win of the season. An LT for North Dakota State. Back-to-back road games here in the Valley. Certainly we know what's looming on the horizon with Youngstown State, who's playing very well, but make no mistake, taking care of business here today, very, very important, especially early in the game.
That's always the theme from any coach and any player you talk to. It will be, even though they know the Penguins are coming, it is take care of today. And today, of course, as you mentioned here at Indiana State, a team that is really kind of looking at their front seven on the defense as the best part of their team right now, but the Sycamores' offensive line is the weakest aspect of their team right now, and we have seen what the Bison do to offensive lines who are not performing well.
Bison coaches certainly expect them to heat it up a little bit when you talk about Indiana State on the defensive side, so watch for that early. For NDSU, they've been able to put teams away early here the last few weeks. Important for them to maybe try to do that again in this contest to get some of that depth in the game, which we've seen here the last couple of weeks.
And NDSU has done it in a couple of different ways. Last week it was with the pass, with Easton Stick being very efficient down the field and hitting his receivers. R.J. Erzendowski had a really big first half, and then we've seen before where the Bison ground game has just been pounding the team into submission, if you will, early on. I don't know which one we'll see today, but I think one of those aspects, and probably the physicality of the ground game, will reign superior for NDSU.
Now, speaking of the ground game, Lance Dunn has really had a spectacular start to the season. He is leading the FCS in touchdowns with 10 rushing touchdowns on the season. Can't say enough about the step this guy has taken in his junior year.
The one thing that Lance has done better than anyone else, probably in the country, we've seen it, is he makes his first move, gets past that guy, and then his secondary move is the one that has been able to pop those very big runs. Lance Dunn has had a bunch of them.
So we are getting set for kickoff here at Indiana State. North Dakota State won the toss, they deferred, so the Sycamores will have the football first. A true freshman back to take the kickoff from Cam Peterson, Rontrez Morgan, 5'11", 165 out of Jacksonville, Florida. And he was put in that position because the Sycamores recently dismissed their last kick returner from the team in Dimitri Taylor. So the true freshman taking on an extra role here.
Yeah, the Sycamores have made some changes from some of the personnel that it happens sometimes when a new coach comes in, but Coach Mallory and his staff certainly wanting to go in a certain direction, and if not everyone's willing to go that way, they're not here.
And as bad as the injury front has looked at times for North Dakota State, it's really been worse here in Terre Haute. Indiana State last week before the Illinois State game had 25 players not practice due to injury.
And Kyle Erickson, the starting right tackle, he injured a knee last week. He is not in uniform this week, so they're even more thin at the O-line.
Yeah, Erickson starting at right tackle the last couple of games. He had played in 17 straight games, a transfer from East Carolina, so we're going to see a true freshman at tackle against North Dakota State. Deep kickoff drives Morgan 5 yards deep into his own end zone. He'll take a knee, and Indiana State will start at its own 25-yard line. Let's take a look at the North Dakota State defense, brought to you by Shields.
Caleb Butler, Blaine, Minnesota.
Nathan Tangway, Quantico, Wisconsin.
Aaron Steidel, Carlos, Minnesota.
Stanley Jones, Bismarck, North Dakota.
Levi Jordan, Dickinson, North Dakota.
Nick DeLuca, Omaha, Nebraska.
Chris Board, Orlando, Florida.
Jalen Winbush, St. Petersburg, Florida.
Robbie Grimsley, Hutchinson, Minnesota.
Trey Dempsey, Lakeland, Florida.
Jalen Allison, Papillion, Nebraska.
Indiana State, 1st and 10, starting quarterback Cade Sparks. Run the ball on 1st down, Lamont Booker, taken down after a short gain of about 3 yards on the play. Let's take a look at that Indiana State offensive unit. Again, starting lineup brought to you by Shields. LT had mentioned Kyle Erickson is not starting an offensive tackle today. Booker has really had a good start to the season after missing all of last year due to an injury. He had 154 yards against Eastern Illinois. And Jaquette McClendon, keep an eye on the tight end, 2nd in the Valley in receptions with 23 coming into this game. And McClendon just 14 receptions all of last year, so the senior taking a step up here in his senior season. Play action this time for Sparks. A little time in the pocket, fires high, and a little bit off target for Bob Hugh. Robbie Grimsley there on the coverage, and will be 3rd and 7.
A dual route on the right side. I thought McClendon, you just mentioned him, Brian, he was probably open on the play, but he was the shorter route. He was about at a 7-yard route. He went to the deeper of those 2 routes, and Grimsley closed on it very well from his safety position.
4 receivers stacked right in the exact same spot on the field here on 3rd and long. Now they'll shift, as LT mentioned. They will do a lot of this throughout the course of the game.
I think Sycamores took a timeout.
Yeah, a little bit of confusion, so an early timeout here burned by Indiana State. And we talked a little bit about the Sycamores. They've gone to more of a pro-style run-oriented offense under offensive coordinator Jeff Heklinski. Today's game brought to you in part by Gate City Bank. Show your buys and pride with an NDSU Gate City Bank ATM and check card. Visit gatecitybank.com/mycard for more information.
The multiple looks that Chris Kleiman's defense is going to get today, and the coaches talked about how every snap, there's 2, you have to go in with a mindset of that there's 2 potential different formations that you're going to see. It's all not necessary, and every formation isn't today necessarily going to mean that the defensive call is going to be switched. The Bison want to try to stay with their initial calls regardless of what they see with formations.
This down has not been kind to Indiana State. Just 18% on 3rd down coming into this game, and North Dakota State allowing just 24%. So the percentage is certainly in NDSU's favor here on what's going to be 3rd and even longer.
Yeah, 9 of 51 on 3rd down coming into this game. And by all accounts, and I mean, you look at the record is what it is, but the Sycamores certainly feel like they should be 2-2 instead of 0-4. There was some circumstances toward the late parts of the games where they lost at, the Eastern Illinois one and the Liberty game, but you still didn't quite do what you needed to do to win.
And played competitively for a while at Tennessee until the Volunteers ran away in the second half. 3rd and 12 here for Indiana State. Sparks out of the pocket. Will take off and get what he can before Levi Jortheim smacks him at about the 27-yard line. Will bring up a punting situation. So a 3-and-out here for Indiana State on its opening drive.
Sparks a little more mobile of the 2 quarterbacks, but certainly a best-case scenario in that situation for NDSU. You rush for it, and you get enough pressure against that offensive line to have to force him to get out of there, just to try to extend the play, save the play. So if Sparks is moving, that is a very good situation for NDSU today, and they did it with 4 with no linebacker blitz.
Thomas Bolden on to punt this one away into a pretty stiff wind. And he'll angle this one towards the sidelines out of bounds. And the Bison will have very good field position all the way up to about the 46-yard line.
Well, in general terms, a rugby-style kicker on a day like today with the way the wind is, that might help you a little bit because you're a low line drive type of a kick. But that one just didn't have much mustard behind it. And if NDSU is starting And as we've seen, they have taken advantage this year, the Bison have, of those short fields. They've been on a lot of them.
So Indiana State has a lot of new pieces in this defense, guys that are still trying to learn some things, have some youth, but also some experience as well. Keep an eye on Jonas Griffith, number 46, leading tackler for the Sycamores. Stick to throw on first down, comeback route. Urzendowski right there makes the catch. Rondell Green on the coverage for Indiana State. Let's take a look at that Bison offense. Starting lineup brought to you by Shields.
Easton Stick, Omaha, Nebraska.
Colin Connor, Linden, Wisconsin.
Bryce Messner, Mackville, North Dakota.
Tanner Volson, Belfour, North Dakota.
Austin Coonert, Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Zach Johnson, Spring Lake Park, Minnesota.
Connor Wentz, Denellen, Florida.
Brock Robbins, Cavalier, North Dakota.
Lance Dunn, Waterloo, Iowa.
RJ Urzendowski, Omaha, Nebraska.
Darius Shepard, Blue Springs, Missouri.
Lance Dunn, his first opportunity. He has swarmed under. First man there for Indiana State was Jordan Jackson, a redshirt senior out of Indianapolis. Jackson did not play last week due to an injury, so the Sycamores get him back. And again, Jackson has been kind of bitten by the injury bug this all of 2014 and 2015 due to injury. There is some experience. Evan Gill is a very interesting story. He was worked himself into the starting lineup, wanted to go to Indiana State initially, was not recruited by the Sycamores, ended up going to St. Joseph's College, and his school up and closed last spring, so he was left without a place to go to school, was picked up late by Curtin Mallory. Here he is in the starting lineup. Lance Dunn to the outside, tries to put a move on Green, has enough for a first down up to the 40-yard line.
Just to finish your thought on St. Joseph's, yeah, I mean, Gill's the one who's here playing, earned his spot and earned his minutes, but 5 of his teammates came with him. There's a total of 6 guys from that program that shut down here at Indiana State.
Well, and his father, Max, played for Kurt Mallory's father, Bill, at Northern Illinois, so there's a connection there as well. So the numbers on Lance Dunn is having a fantastic, fantastic junior season to this point. Stick, quick drop, gonna throw deep, has a receiver open downfield, a little bit behind him, but Darius Shepard makes the adjustment and the catch at the 8-yard line.
Well, after Shep's first ball last week when he was wide open down the field that he did not catch, this one he makes an exceptional adjustment when the ball's on the air. The Nodak Insurance Company replay today. Here's a very good angle at it. Coming right at you. The wind's got the ball now. Shepard makes the adjustment, gets his shoulders squared back to the ball, both hands around that, and the Bison are knocking on the door.
Shep dropped a wide open touchdown last week in the opening drive. Caught that one. Easton Stick on the keeper. Met at the 5-yard line and driven back at that point. Cottrell Moss in there along with a host of others for the Sycamores, second and goal.
Moss, the second leading tackler. That's the safety you're looking at there, Brenton Lockett. That was a designed quarterback run. Stick trying to move people with his eyes. You see that play before he looked off to the left, looked at Shepard in the flat, and then was able to try to take it up and get a couple of yards on the play.
Now, one thing we have not seen a lot of, and that's design runs for Easton Stick here the last couple of weeks, and I think that is by design. Stick time, across the middle, Connor Wentz, open touchdown.
Stick's pass is complete, number 87, Connor Wentz.
Second catch of the year for Connor, first touchdown. His first one was a 15-yard grab, and this is a little bit of a byproduct of how well NDSU runs the ball, Brian. I think just you have to stack the box, you have to honor the run. Nice tight look at Stick as he just spots Wentz wide open behind the linebackers. Looked easy.
Peterson on for the point after attempt, and this one is up. And it is booted through, and North Dakota State strikes quickly. 11:05 to go here in the first quarter on the Egg Country Farm Credit Services scoreboard. 7-0. North Dakota State as Stick connects with Wentz from 5 yards out. Welcome back to Terre Haute, Indiana here at Memorial Stadium. 7-0 North Dakota State as Wentz catches his first touchdown of the season, just his second reception overall as North Dakota State jumps out to a 7-0 lead. Time for another Peterson Farm Seed kickoff. Kick off your planting season with Peterson Farm Seed. Morgan will again retreat, and this one through the end zone out of bounds. And again, Indiana State will start at its own 25-yard line.
Well, that kick, I think, was much like that first completed pass to Shepard. You can tell once that ball hangs in the air a little bit, the influence of the wind taking it toward the NDSU sideline.
Let's take a look at that Bobcat scoring recap. 6 plays, 54 yards. And again, the Bison efficient. The big pass play to Shepard is really what set it up. But LT, that looked pretty easy on the opening drive for NDSU.
It did. You know, that's a good sign for NDSU, not a good sign for Indiana State. We'll see if some adjustments were made on the next defensive possession for the Sycamores, or if the Bison can continue to eat them up through the air.
More shifting here for Indiana State.
Eye discipline is the key for the guys on the backside, linebackers, DBs.
Sparks quickly out to Pugh, makes the reception, working off a block. Bison close quickly, but Pugh slips out of a tackle there from Trey Dempsey and gains 8 yards up to the 33. Pugh had a huge day, I mean a huge day against Liberty. 260 yards and 2 touchdowns receiving. That was a game that Cade Sparks came up 2 yards short of the game record for passing yardage set by Mike Parrish. Had a 405 yards in that game.
Yeah, Pugh's a home run type of guy. He's averaging almost 31 yards a catch. They want to get him the ball out wide.
Play action again for Sparks. Nick DeLuca giving chase, comeback route, and again it's Pugh working on Jalen Allison. Makes the reception out of bounds inside Bison territory at the 49.
Beautiful route. Pugh got Allison to flip his hips, and if you can do that to a corner, he just broke off the route. Nodak Insurance Company replay. It's off the top of your screen. That's the under. Grimsley has the under. There's the top. Allison was nowhere near the catch because he was set up very well by Pugh. You don't do that to Allison very often.
Sparks quickly, and now again, here comes more shifting.
But you're talking about Sparks throwing the ball. I mean, in high school, he had 3,200 yards and 52 touchdowns. I mean, this is a guy who has a throwing pedigree.
Led the state of California his senior year in touchdown passes. Delayed handoff there to Keys, and Keys bounces off some tackles. Finally taken down by Tuska at the 42-yard line, and Jaquan Keys, a redshirt junior out of Indianapolis, had an interesting nickname here last year until he dropped 25 pounds.
Yep, Luke Martin, the play-by-play guy, said his nickname last year was Fat Keys. So the dropping of the 25 pounds that you mentioned, that was the key. He got himself in shape.
Quick jet sweep. Oh, the football was dropped. Everybody giving chase. I think it went out of bounds before anybody was able to retain possession. The jet sweep that time was designed to go to Michael Thomas, the freshman receiver, and that is a significant loss for Indiana State. Will bring up 3rd and long.
On the Nodak Insurance replay, look at the bottom of your screen how much Levi Jordheim was held on that play. If he's not held on that play, he might get to the ball, but it does roll out and possession is retained by the Sycamores. But I thought Jordheim was going to get there, but his shoulders was turned because he was being held.
Keep your eye on number 15 there on the high side of your screen. Jaquette McClendon, a guy they like to use in this situation.
And then Pugh's on the single receiver side as well.
Sparks is looking at Pugh, and Pugh was not quite out of its break by the time that football arrived, and that will bring up a 4th and long here for the Sycamores.
It appeared to me that was one of those deals where the quarterback and the receiver have to read the defense. The receiver, in this case Pugh, read the break to the inside. The quarterback Sparks read the break to the outside. So it was one of those deals. You run there, whatever you see is what I'll throw, and they each saw something a little bit different.
2 men back this time for North Dakota State. Grimsley joins Trey Dempsey back there as this thing is bounced to Grimsley, and he will take a knee at the 19-yard line. Pretty good job there by Bolden getting it down in that area. 8:26 to go here in the first quarter. North Dakota State with its 2nd possession coming up, leading by 7 on the Ag Country Farm Credit Services scoreboard. North Dakota State getting set for its 2nd drive. Look at Easton Stick, who's been sharp here early today as Bruce Anderson flips over to the other side and gets the handoff here and is taken down by the safety on the play, Brenton Lockett, after a gain of 5.
I think that was the first time we saw the six-man pressure where both linebackers and the four down linemen all came, and the Bison are going to pop one of those, I think, today.
Let's take a look at those quarterback stats brought to you by the North Dakota Beef Commission. And for Easton Stick, off to a tremendous season again. The completion percentage very good, no interceptions. He's also moved into 4th in touchdown passes in NDSU history with 38, and he became the 5th quarterback in NDSU history to throw for 4,000 yards. And again, not even halfway through his junior season. Stick quickly finds an open receiver again. Shepard finding a crease and getting upfield all the way to the 39. Good enough for a Bison first down.
Ramon Clifford is the outside linebacker on that side of the field, and that is really a tough thing for him to try to get to the flat fast enough before the pass can get to Shepard to try to provide the under. Stick sees that, goes off to the wide side, and it's fairly easy pitch and catch. And you mentioned the 72% completion. That's second best in the FCS for Stick, and we have to remember his first start was made on this field a couple of years ago.
Ran it 17 times for 126 yards as a redshirt freshman. Stick will throw again, airing it out again into the wind for Shepard, just off his fingertips. Rondell Green on the coverage. Pretty well thrown ball from Stick, but Shepard just not quite able to get there.
Well, it's pretty easy to see where the Bison feel they have the advantage so far in the air in this game, and that's from the slot position, because there's a lot of targets to number 20 and so far today, and multiple times going deep. Nodak Insurance Company replay. Stick looking to his left the whole time, floating that one up. He gets it over, but just about, 6 inches or so too long.
Stick under pressure, steps up, flag comes in. Urzendowski at the 25-yard line, down to the 22. But again, a flag came in very late, so we'll see if this will get negated by penalty.
Offense, number 87. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot.
Body language told you that Connor Wentz was the one who got called on that. As soon as the ball was in the air, he kind of shoulders went down when he looked at the official, and even though a big play was happening downfield, Wentz already knew that that flag was on me and this play was coming back.
That wipes out a 40-yard completion from Stick to Urzendowski, and will bring up 2nd and 20.
One of the reasons that Indiana State is allowing some big passes is because they're going so all out with that 6-man pressure that you have to play 3 deep and 2 under, so there's a lot of holes out there for Stick to look at when you can have one-on-one deep on either third of the field, and so far the Bison have been picking on it.
Side give, Lance Dunn trying to turn the quarter. Pushed out of bounds after a gain of about 5 yards.
Seems a little weird to say, but so far in this game, the Bison are running because they kind of feel maybe like they have to, because we're a running team, because there's been so much success through the air. It's usually just the other way around.
So 3rd and very long here for NDSU, 3rd and 17. Sycamore's backing off on pressure, it looks like, on this down. We'll see if the linebackers come late. Here they come. Stick drops it off to Urzendowski quickly, taken down immediately by Rondell Green, well short of the first down. Will bring up a punting situation.
Stick and the Bison did not have enough time, I should say, to get a 20-yard pass pattern because of that pressure that you talked about. They did back off, but both guys from the linebacker spot were off to the offensive's right, and that was one of those deals where we're going to get it out to Urzendowski. We saw last week meaning RJ, had a little shake after he made some catches where he's trying to see if he could shake the corner. Could not do it on that play. NDSU punts for the first time.
Jackson Kuntz hangs this one up. And Pugh back to take this one at his own 12-yard line. Good punt there for Jackson Kuntz. And we'll take another quick timeout. Be back with more from your Memorial Stadium here in Terre Haute. Welcome back to Memorial Stadium. Pretty good smattering of Bison fans here today, as you can see, maybe 2-1 between Indiana State and North Dakota State fans making the trip here today. Play action again for Sparks. Now a throwback screen, and the Sycamores have some blockers here. Caught out there by Calvin Blank, the transfer from Ball State, but a flag comes in. A couple flags actually come in at about the 25-yard line. Would be a first down. We'll see what the flag is.
It was after the Sycamores already picked up the first down, so the flag's sitting back at about the 26-yard line, and multiple flags on the play, so more than one official saw whatever happened. My guess is a hold.
So we'll see what the
downfield
officials say here.
Block below the waist downfield, maybe?
About to find out. Whoa.
Or not.
Having some mic issues here with the official. Illegal man downfield is the call. We know that without hearing the official, just based on his gesture.
Ineligible. So that negates the first down.
So before that ball was thrown, again, 5 yards, I believe, LT, and again, that's a judgment call by the officials.
There's 2 fouls on the play.
It's a personal foul
There's
as
dual.
well.
There's where the 2 flags were from.
And a cut block. So that's what the personal foul was. So that's going to wipe out everything here for Indiana State. They're going to get backed up inside their own 10. Well, today's game brought to you in part by Gate City Bank, and for a limited time only, receive $700 off your mortgage closing costs. For more details, visit gatecitybank.com/betterhomeloans. Kurt Mallory, the first-year head coach here at Indiana State. Coach Mallory spent the last couple of years on the staff of Craig Bohl at the University of Wyoming.
Coach Mallory also said that this week, NDSU will be the best football team we played this year, no doubt.
And that includes Tennessee. I thought that was an interesting comment too, LT, when I heard that. Sparks again, play action. Now he's going to air it out, double coverage. Grimsley back there, and it actually went through the hands of the intended target there, Rontrez Morgan, as Grimsley got a little bit too shallow, but again, incomplete. Looked like a flag came out, but it was inadvertent.
I don't even think it's a flag. I think it's just yellow.
Something.
Yeah, whatever.
So Indiana State has not really even tried to run the ball a whole lot here today. It's all been heavy play action and chucking the ball out. Here they will give it a run to Lamont Booker, who sneaks through a hole. Finally taken down by Nick DeLuca after a gain of about 7.
Sycamores have used Booker a lot so far this year. Coming into today, he had, what I think it was 57 more carries than the rest of the team combined. So that's how much he has carried the workload on the ground.
Also a guy that catches the ball out of the backfield a little bit. 6 receptions, 44 yards, and a touchdown.
They've done multiple things with him. I mean, he's been split out wide as well, so he's a versatile athlete, a good one.
So a manageable 3rd down here, 3rd and 3 coming up for Indiana State. Inside handoff, Booker was eluded Trey Dempsey and then pushed out of bounds by DeLuca, but he's got enough for a first down up to the 30.
Yeah, Trey went for the home run tackle to try to prevent the first down, and when he whipped, you know that there was going to be the first down. DeLuca kind of comes out and takes him out of the play. Here it is on the Nodak Insurance Company replay. Went for the legs, just missed it, and the Sycamores get their first down.
So that was a pretty good conversion for Indiana State, who was really backed up after the penalty. Sparks to throw again, quickly thrown out to another freshman. That's Michael Thomas. Made his first career touchdown reception last week against Illinois State. Good for 5.
The Bison rolled up in press coverage with JALEN Allison on the outside. It looked like they were going to give Pugh a free release off the line. Allison comes up, bumps Pugh off, but then the play was able to use that, the player, I should say, was able to use that little bunch up between Allison and Pugh and cut right off the backside of it.
Delayed handoff here to Booker, who sneaks through a hole. Going to be about 2 yards short of a first down. Buys on the bottom of the pile there, Grant Morgan.
You'll notice,
Tangway.
Sorry, Brian, most of the things that the Sycamores do in the run game is a little hesitation, a little, you know, will show motion one way, go the other, because if you're just trying to line up and run the ball down the throat of NDSU's defense, you're going to struggle with that today.
So 3rd and 2 here now coming up for Indiana State.
McClendon now the blocker.
Booker, driven back by Caleb Butler, and Chris Board also got it behind the legs, and he's going to come up a yard short of a first down.
That goes back to my point of the statement I just made. If you're going to line up and want to get, even in this case, 2 yards against NDSU, it's not going to work very well today. Nodak Insurance Company replay, pretty good angle here. McClendon leads up in there, but Chris Board was untouched, and those two, you're going nowhere when you got two guys that big and that strong, one around the legs, one around the waist.
So Thomas Bolden out for another punt, and he will line drive one down the field, and we'll take a friendly hop for Indiana State inside the 20, still rolling down to about the 17-yard line. Touchdown there by Matt Thompson, a junior linebacker. He's one of those transfers from St. Joseph's College. Take a look at your trivia question, brought to you by the North Dakota Soybean Council. Trivia question today is, we don't know.
Suspenseful.
What cooking oil is the most widely used edible oil in the United States? Canola, soy, or corn? I have my guess. LT, I'm sure has yours. We'll have the answer coming up in a little bit. North Dakota State Delta formation once again here. We saw this on the second drive against Missouri State. It worked wonders. And Anderson taken down. Well, kept his feet for a little while, but dragged down for a loss of about 4 yards. Good job that time by the Sycamores. Getting in there to make the play. A flag does come in. It looks like it's going to be on the Sycamores.
Number 8, Anderson. We have penalty flags on the play.
Like Stephon Mays was the guy that made the tackle there.
First guy there has not been successful a lot of the times against NDSU. Stick making the read. And one of the few times where Anderson or Dunn has had the first guy alone bring him down.
And Mays, another true freshman that's been forced into playing here from Louisville, Kentucky. And this is a big penalty on Indiana State. We'll take the ball all the way out to the 32. I think Coach Mallory wondering who the penalty was on. And I think they got Norvell McGlawn, the senior.
Yeah, he's the biggest guy of the down linemen that start anyway at 310. Guy in the middle.
McGlawn started all games last season, had a sack versus Liberty, a couple tackles last week against Illinois State.
127, sir.
So there's issues, obviously, with letting everyone know what the penalty was. But check out the left side of your screen on this Nodak Insurance Company replay. Up
like
into the face, yeah, up underneath the face mask. 15-yarder, personal foul. Also with getting the clock set to the right amount of time has been an issue with the mic not working.
False start coming up here on North Dakota State. A lot of flags here in the first quarter. A minute to go. Stick working out of the shotgun, which he's done a lot of here in the first quarter to start. Lance Dunn stacked up at the line of scrimmage. A couple different Sycamores got in there, including Moss. Finished off on the play by Kiaris Ardley, the senior safety out of Stark, Florida.
Jet motion across the backfield from Shepard as well, so just put that in the back of your mind to see if they're setting up a play a little bit later for Shepard to try to take that one wide.
And if a guy's making a tackle for Indiana State today, good chance that number 40 is going to be somewhere in the vicinity. 125 career tackles.
Well, you mentioned Griffith too. Yeah, he's out there now, but those two are the top 2 tacklers for this team.
Stick will drop it off, and it was tipped by Gill. Nice job by the defensive end.
Stick pass is incomplete. Tipped at the line of scrimmage.
Gill 12 sacks and 22 tackles for loss. Nice job working off the cut block there.
Trying to cut him down, trying to get those hands down on the ground. It didn't work. He played off it, got him up in the air, and almost came up with a big defensive play.
So 3rd and long again now for North Dakota State. Stick fires, complete to Shepard. I think he's going to be a little bit short of a first down, but it's going to be close.
It's going to be real close, but mixing it up on defense, the Sycamores. Instead of bringing that 6-man pressure, they rushed 3 and went to max protect.
And they're going to give him the first down.
Nodak Insurance Company replay. Stick, look at that, it's his 3rd read. He looked left, he looked middle, he saw Shepard right. And again, with max coverage, when you're dropping 8 guys, the window to get that ball somewhere is pretty short, and you have to be quick with it. So excellent job by the quarterback.
And good first quarter there for Darius Shepard and Easton Stick as well. Bison have a first down when we come back for the second quarter here at Terre Haute. Back here for the start of the second quarter, North Dakota State on the move. Up to their own 42-yard line after the first down reception by Darius Shepard. 3 receptions, 59 yards in that first quarter for Shepard. Stick again out of the shotgun. Play action across the middle quickly to Shepard in the slot. Taken down nearly immediately on the play by Jonas Griffith. Griffith, another interesting guy, was homeschooled until his senior year, only played 1 year of high school football.
And he comes into this game as the 3rd leading tackler in the Valley. Same formation, 3 receivers to the wide side.
And now Anderson will motion out to the bottom side of the screen, so empty here for Easton Stick. Under a little bit of pressure, going to take off and run with it. Runs into the official and then taken down by Moss after a gain of about 6. And Sycamore is still down on the play.
The man who made the tackle, I think, isn't it? Nodak Insurance Company replay. Stick against a 4-man rush. Bison pick it up fairly well, but he doesn't like his initial read. Remember, we're talking this year about Stick in the passing game at the top of the drop. See, he wanted, and the offensive coaches wanted the ball out. As soon as he bounces for a second time, nothing's there. Time to improvise.
They continue to look at Moss down on the field. Now helping him to his feet. Let's take a look at the answer to your trivia question brought to you by the North Dakota Soybean Council. The question was, what cooking oil is the most widely used edible oil in the United States? Canola, soy, or corn? Soy, 55%. It's not close in a runaway. And again, I think we knew the answer to that.
Because of who was sponsoring our trivia questions.
There's a look at Moss, who looks like he's got an issue with an arm or a shoulder. already playing with a banged up hand. You see it wrapped up. So we'll take a look at him on the sidelines, and that's another man down here for Indiana State, who's already very, very thin at some positions, including linebacker. Bruce Anderson going to bounce this one outside, finds a crease, and then kept his feet after it looked like he was going to get taken down by the safety Brenton Lockett. Was able to stay on his feet and gain a first down up to the 31.
Jeff Ilias is the one that gets enough on the edge, on the block, on a little bit of a kick out. He didn't sandwich a guy, didn't pancake a guy, but he kept himself in position to make a block and a little bit of push just long enough to allow Anderson to get to that block and cut it upfield for the first.
Well, North Dakota State just 20 rush yards in that opening quarter.
Here's a rush formation.
Dunn waits, then finds a crease, and then runs over Rondell Green. Good gain on first down of 7 up to the 25-yard line.
Left side of the offensive line along with 82 Ben Elson really did a solid job of creating that space there for the first down yardage. Really, really solid first down run. Nodak Insurance Company replay, check it out on the left side. Tanner Volson also in there helping turn a guy.
Darius Shepard came in to make a nice block on the safety Lockett as well.
I know wide receivers get glory for catches, but I tell you, if you do not block for NDSU, you will not play.
Dunn again, outside as a first down, steps out of a tackle from Jordan Jackson and gets inside the 20-yard line.
If you've watched us do games so far this year, we've talked about the way that Lance Dunn can finish a run. We've seen the big ones where he finishes in the end zone, and those are the ones that make all the highlights. But this right here is a very good example of how he finishes the run with strength. The tackle you mentioned, Brian, he jumped through was Jordan Jackson, one of the outside linebackers. He didn't make him miss, but he had enough power and enough position, enough pad level to get the first down.
So first down, North Dakota State now at the 18. Stick. Ilias getting upfield inside the 10, down to about the 5-yard line before he's taken down. They'll be good enough for another first down. North Dakota State continuing to move it downfield. Raymond Clifford making the tackle there for the Sycamores.
He was also on the coverage, and that's why Ilias was so open. It's going to be some outside leverage, so all Ilias has to do is take a couple of steps, stay on the inside, because Clifford is way out to his right. He's probably 2 steps off to the right. If he's head up a little bit more, that play doesn't get completed quite so easily.
Done the single setback here on first and goal. He'll get the call. Works around one man and then stacked up inside the 5 at about the 4.
Number 10,
Boy, Griffith's been all over the football so far here today.
He's had to be. Well, you know, you don't lead the team in tackles by accident, I guess, put it that way. In these short yardage situations so far today, it appears the Bison like what they have on the left side more than the right side.
Brock Robinson at fullback here. Play action to Anderson. Out to the tight end, and that is the second touchdown of the day for Connor Wentz.
Six pass is complete to number 87, Connor Wentz, with the North Dakota State touchdown.
The biggest thing here is that Wentz has to make sure he sells the fact that he's going to be a blocker on the play first and then pass receiver second. And he did that for a good, probably a 2 count. Stick fakes it. Wentz is able to get himself free. 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. Pretty good ratio there.
Extra point is up and good. Knocked through from Cam Peterson, and it's 14-0 North Dakota State, 10:43 to go here in the second quarter. Been a good day for Connor Wentz. A couple of touchdown receptions here in the first half. North Dakota State leading 14-0. Cam Peterson on to boot this one away. Jalen Allison holding. Another Peterson Farm Seed kickoff. Kick off your planning season with Peterson Farm Seed. This one angled towards the sideline. Well placed. Morgan has to go back to his own 2. And then he is driven down short of the 20-yard line. The football came out, I think, at the end. Did North Dakota State end up with it? I think they got it, LT. They do. Now, is it a fumble or not? I haven't seen any official word from anybody wearing stripes.
But you can see Jalen Allison clearly comes out of the pile with the ball. Nodak Insurance Company replay. Let's see if we can see it come out here on the pile. Oh yeah, the ball is out.
That's out.
Absolutely.
And there's another man down here for Indiana State.
It's a fumble. Recovered by North Dakota.
There's
Rontrez Morgan is the guy that's down that was hit on that play.
sure they'll look at it because it's a change of possessions. Touchdowns and change of possessions get looked at again, but there's nothing in there I didn't see that would warrant NDSU not having the ball inside the 20. I was trying to catch the number of who made the initial hit, and I couldn't quite see. Did you catch it?
I didn't.
Here we should be able to get a good look at it.
Keep your eyes on 42. He seems to always be around the football.
It is Mercadal, 55.
Yeah, Aaron Mercadal coming in, who's been a really good special teamer. Backup linebacker out of Oakland, California. And as they tend to Morgan, Ryan Geller on the sidelines with us today has another injury report.
Hey guys, we are on the Indiana State sideline, and for Cottrell Moss, the middle linebacker for Indiana State, it was a separated shoulder. The young man was in quite a bit of pain, but they were able to pop it back in. His return is probable.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Part of our First International Bank and Trust sideline report. There's a look at Moss trying to work that thing around. You could tell it was definitely not where it should have been when he came off the field before. Doesn't look real good with Morgan.
No, he's stayed down quite a bit. As Brian mentioned, he's a freshman from Jacksonville, Florida. You know, I know the kick doesn't have anything to do with the fumble, but the placement of that kick helped create the fumble.
Yeah. It was really, I mean, that you can't do it much better than that. That ball was angled right at the sideline to the place where Morgan had to go. And he really didn't have any momentum when he took that at his own 2-yard line. Morgan is at least sitting up now. That's a good sign.
The ruling on the field of a fumble is confirmed.
It is confirmed as we looked at our replay, and they looked at it next door to us here in the booth. Today's game brought to you in part by Gate City Bank. Gate City Bank has been serving customers and investing in a better way of life since 1923, with 36 locations in 19 communities across North Dakota and western Minnesota.
Zero pressure being put on the right leg.
That does not look good for Morgan. And again, Indiana State with injuries, without Curtis Lee today as well, who's a senior receiver, former walk-on out of Gary, Indiana. So the options becoming fewer and fewer here for the Sycamores.
And that's a position group where, with Lee, as his senior not playing, Pugh, we've seen him play a number of years, but Morgan a freshman, Michael Thomas a freshman, Odell, maybe he'll be one of the guys that comes in. He's a redshirt freshman, so that's a very young position group outside of number 4.
We haven't talked about this guy specifically on the offensive line for Indiana State, LT, but there was a pretty big scare for one of the offensive linemen, Lex Sowards, who had been a multiple-year starter here, had a health scare and is redshirting. The conditions surrounding that not widely known, but
in fall camp, you mean?
Yes, in fall camp, to the point where they said, you need to sit out this year until we figure out exactly what is going on. So that's another starter that is out for Indiana State that has some experience. So they're playing a lot of guys that, frankly, have just not played a lot of college football.
Here's another thing the Bison have been so good at this year. When the team gives them an opportunity, NDSU has taken it.
Inside give Bruce Anderson, and he is upended at the 10-yard line. Gain of 8 for Bruce.
Number 8, Anderson carries. tackled by number 32.
Now the Bison have taken turnovers and turned them into points. Just with exceptional regularity.
Lockett making another tackle for Indiana State. Malmstrom in now at fullback. Anderson again, bounces this one outside, turns the corner before he is met again by Lockett, who came flying over. But not until Anderson picks up a first down at the 6.
But we've noticed it so far. It's on the left side where NDSU likes the blocking advantage that they're having up front on that left side. So, and usually in this case, to get around the corner, you need someone like, Colin Connor to really do a good job at that point, at that edge. And he's number 64. Connor is he's a big guy, about 3'10", 6'5".
Stick quickly on the slant to Urzendowski. Good coverage on the play that time by Lonnie Walker, the redshirt junior out of Inglewood, California.
Well, it doesn't get any better than that, so that's as good gets. He was able to stay in good position and then close on the ball and not hit Urzendowski early. Well done. Nodak Insurance replay. Urzendowski trying to get that inside edge. You're trying to get to the inside hip of that defensive back. If you can do it, that play will be completed.
Dunn the single setback here on 2nd and goal. Dunn had a sidestep, one man, and then taken down by Evan Gill after a short pickup up to the 3.
Especially when Dunn is in the game, and it just appears that Urzendowski's going to keep one of these sometime. I think this seems like he's going to like this read, their zone read, see something, pull it, and run it in. That's just what it feels like. It just feels like, we're setting you up with number 10, and if the pile moves, he's going to get in. But to me, it seems like Stick's going to rush for a touchdown sometime today.
Illinois State just 56 rush yards last week, so the Sycamores did a good job there. It's been through the air, as you mentioned, LT, that's been their problem. Dunn, short of the goal line, down to the 1-yard line, so decision time here for Chris Kleiman, 4th and goal, but LT, you're probably thinking it's not even a decision.
I don't think it's much of a decision. You leave your big guns in there and try to get the 6. And another player down. Nodak Insurance Company replay. There's a Sycamore at the bottom of this pile who's not getting up, but that's how close Dunn was to the end zone.
Good job on the tackle to hold on there by Clifford. Is that Moss? No.
It might be Griffith. So the top two, it's Griffith. So the top 2 tacklers have both been on the turf today already for the Sycamores.
Sophomore out of Louisville, Kentucky.
Number 46 is what we're looking for on the right side. And he was being pushed back there
like
by
Brock
the fullback, Robbins, and then landed on the backside of his right leg. Yeah, Brock Robbins did a good job getting into the chest of the linebacker. Super job by the lead block.
So 4th and goal coming up until they can get Griffith off the field. Going to try to get up here as they take a look at him, and here he comes. Not a lot of power on that right leg, but some power.
The one thing about it, just from looking at it on the replay of how he was landed on, that I think is a good sign, is that he wasn't twisted on the play when he got hit, if you know what I mean. He just kind of landed on the backside. It's going to hurt, but his upper body wasn't twisting. This should be a really good shot. Look at the Robbins getting into his chest, and then Dunn lands right below the knee on the back of the calf.
So 4th and goal from the 1 coming up here for NDSU. Stick out of the shotgun here. Pistol formation with Malmstrom to his right side.
Kleiman wants a timeout.
And Chris Kleiman comes sprinting with that artificial hip all the way down to the 10-yard line to make the timeout.
North 36. That is their 10 and a half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Obviously something in the formation that I'm guessing that the coaches up top didn't like, and they're the ones that probably went down to climbing over the headset to ask for a timeout. That's the guess. Usually you see that from the coaching booth more than you do on the sideline.
Our conversation with Courtney Messingham this week, we just call and say, how you doing, Coach? And get a couple initial thoughts, and we said, it's so great to go out to practice here because all the kids just love to go out and practice and play football. And I think those are things that you and I take for granted, but he said as a coach, sometimes you have to play some music or do something fun to get guys engaged. He goes, you don't have to do that here. He goes, it's just so refreshing to come out and everybody's ready to go.
And a lot of that is, I'll call it self-coaching, players coaching themselves, older kids coaching younger kids. This is how I was taught. This is how we do it here. This is how you will do it here. Follow me.
So Malmstrom on the other side of stick here on 4th and goal. Now they'll motion into the eye. Wentz motions back. Done. In. Touchdown.
Number 10, Lance Dunn, up the middle for a North Dakota State touchdown.
Lance Dunn is 11th rushing touchdown of the season, and North Dakota State has extended its lead to 20.
Top guy in the country at rushing touchdowns, adds one more to it, as Brian mentioned, and there's no, bigger power formation than that. It's called the power I. It is, we're lining up here, we're running right there. Good luck trying stopping us.
Peterson on for the extra point. It's up, and it's good. And North Dakota State, behind a Lance Dunn touchdown run from a yard out, lead it 21-0 here in the second quarter from Memorial Stadium in Terre Haute. Well, come one, come all here to Memorial Stadium. Let's get together and have a good time here today in Terre Haute. North Dakota State leading 21-0, exactly 8 minutes left here until halftime. Peterson getting set for another Peterson farm seed kickoff, and again with the injury to Morgan, new return man this time for Indiana State. Bounces out of bounds. Good decision on that play for the new return man, Titus McCoy, a true freshman out of Greenwood, Indiana. Let's take a look at the quarterback comparison brought to you by the North Dakota Beef Commission. And again, the numbers for Sparks, he did not start the season as the starter. It was Isaac Harker who started a number of games last year, and then midway through that Eastern Illinois game, he took over. 4 touchdowns, just 1 interception, and LT talked about his really strong high school career out in Fontana, California at Summit High School, just 49% completion percentage. But the one thing that Indiana State does do is when they complete the ball, they get a lot of yards. 8th in the FCS in yards per catch with 16.3 yards a reception.
One thing with Harker, though, is, and I was told that this new system that the coaches brought with fits Sparks much better than Harker's skill set, which is why they want Sparks to be the man.
Sparks will throw, running out of time and flushing, and he just flips it out of bounds at about the 35-yard line. He was out of the pocket. Good pressure applied that time by Chris Board. Let's take a look at your scoring drive brought to you by Bobcat. 6 plays, just 18 yards. North Dakota State taking advantage of the fumble. And Lance Dunn finishing things off with the 1-yard touchdown run on 4th and goal.
That was a heady play by Sparks, though, to not eat yards there. He did have McClendon in the area, so it wasn't like he was grounding or anything like that. And as Brian mentioned, he was outside the tackle box. I think the 4 down have had pretty good pressure so far today, too, without a lot of blitz help, even though it's coming now.
Sparks on the run behind his intended receiver and dropped by Michael Thomas, who could have hauled that one in, but was unable to do so. Will bring up 3rd and 10.
Thomas does have one thing that's pretty cool, though. His first touchdown catch of his college career was at Tennessee. That's kind of a neat thing to say in front of, what, almost 100, not quite 100,000 fans?
I think his first reception was at Tennessee. I think his first touchdown. No, it was last week.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought it was at Tennessee.
His first ever reception was at Tennessee. His first ever career catch. It's still cool in front of 100,000 people. It's still one of the largest crowds that Indiana State's ever played through in their life. Here comes pressure. And the football is loose again. Wimbush was the one that jarred it free, and North Dakota State is on top of it. Was it Jordheim? Who was the bottom of the pile? Stanley Jones.
Wimbush comes up with the hit. He's the guy who came up with the ball the last time there was a turnover. Good, clean hit there from Wimbush. Strips the ball free. And then a battle for it, won by Stanley. 2 possessions in a row, giving the Bison the ball right there.
How about that one, LT?
That was a gorgeous hit off the corner blitz.
We've seen Jalen Wimbush, even on special teams, he's been able to really fire off, deliver some big hits so far this season. So here we go. Anderson taken down immediately by Griffith, no gain.
Number 8.
You talked about it, LT, but to see how Indiana State is just selling out on the run, they're bringing everybody.
Yeah, the NDSU is going to be forced to put the ball in the air, I think, again. Nodak Insurance Company replay. This is Wimbush off the edge from the top. Sparks doesn't see him coming. And to be able to dislodge the ball as well. I mean, as much as you want the sack, yes, you got a sack, a forced fumble, and a turnover on that play.
Stick. Throw on the comeback route. Well done by Urzendowski, working on Green. A couple of yards short of a first down. Actually, quite a bit short of first down. 5 yards short of a first down.
But you just talk about the timing that a quarterback has with a receiver. Those guys have been doing it for so long that it's just there. It's just instinct. It's something you do not have to worry about. And if there's a guy out there whose stick is more confident throwing to than anybody, you know Urzendowski's on the top of that list.
That's the guy. Anderson will motion out again here on empty to empty the formation on 3rd and 5. Stick throwing to the end zone and incomplete. Opportunity there for the reception.
Dimitri Williams was in the slot this time. It was the first couple of times the Bison have tried that play. It was Shepard running that route. Stick trying to go over the top. Dimitri did get behind the receiver, but Stick couldn't quite drop it in the bucket.
Dimitri Williams, slowed by an injury early in the season, is finally back to full speed. 35-yard field goal attempt coming up for Peterson. It's down, it is up as Jackson Coons holds it, and it is good. Peterson able to connect from 35, and North Dakota State again takes advantage of the turnover and leads it now 24-0 with 6:17 to go from here in the first half in Terre Haute, Indiana. Back in a moment as we step aside. Nothing, your score. Thunder are trying to keep cool in the shade over there by the stands. It's a hot one out here, 82 degrees. The wind is helping, though, to at least keep things manageable here in Terre Haute. I did not expect these kind of temperatures coming out in October, Indiana, but here we are.
Well, the long-range forecast wasn't too far off. It did say we might get to 80 today, and now we've punched past that.
Now, fortunately, the rain is supposed to hold off until later this evening. We were hopeful that that was going to happen. It looked earlier in the week like it might come in early afternoons. You take a look at the weather conditions here in Terre Haute.
And also see that wall on the backside? That's the center field of an old baseball diamond. This is where this used to be a baseball diamond. Just off to our right and below is where home plate used to be. Yep, that's center field. Put me in, coach.
So Cam Peterson on to kick away again. And LT, you talked about it in the pregame show. How many times North Dakota State has kicked off compared to how many times they've received kicks. it's a pretty significant discrepancy.
Yeah. Of yards against for NDSU, the #1 category is kickoff return yardage, coming into this game at 628 on 29 kickoffs. So that's pretty good if that's the largest number of yards against you.
This one again angled towards the sideline, taking it about the 5. Oh boy, North Dakota State continuing really strong coverage. A helmet comes off at the very end of that play at about the 17.
I was kind of watching Dom Davis on that play, throwing himself in there into the pile sideways.
Hamid Oidel was the returning player that time. Redshirt freshman out of Alexandria, Virginia. That's the way. Bobcat scoring recap, 6 plays, 18 yards. That's the old Bobcat scoring recap.
That's Lance Dunn's touchdown run. The last one resulted in the 10th point off of turnovers, if you want to look at it that way.
Delayed handoff again. I'll tell you what, Booker's a pretty shifty guy. Get him in space, gets up to the 24.
Yeah, Coach Klanderman called Booker he's one of the best running backs in the league. So he said flat out,
Let's take a look at another injury for Indiana State. Ryan Gellner on the sidelines has an update.
Yeah, guys, Hamid Oyadel returned that last kick because number 24, Rontrez Morgan, is out with a knee injury. The young man in quite the pain, took him to the sideline in tears. His right knee now has ice on it. He will not return in this football game.
You wonder if Morgan will return at all here in 2017. You certainly hope so. There's Booker again. Thank you, Ryan, for that report. First International Bank and Trust sideline report. Not much room this time for Lamont. And yeah, he did come in as the second leading rusher in the Valley at just under 400 yards.
But he has carried the ball a ton already this year. So far, you can certainly tell today when the offense in blue is out there, it's those 4 down linemen for NDSU are controlling things. I mean, Matt Entz, the defensive coordinator, is calling blitzes not because he has to, it's because he wants to have a little fun and see what happened, and he got a turnover with Winbush off the corner. I mean, the Bison do not need to blitz today to get pressure or stop the run.
3rd and 3, Sparks taken down from behind. And another sack for North Dakota State as they continue to come, and this time it is Derek Tuska.
Derek came in with half a sack. He's got 1.5 now, and that just goes like an exclamation point from the last statement I made. I mean, the Bison do not need to do anything special to put pressure on. It's coming right off the edge around the right side. Tuska with the speed rush, shows a little muscle on the backside of that Nodak Insurance Company replay. And yes, nice play on 3rd down.
Working on Matt Byrne, the 6'4", 340-pound senior. Oh, and the fumbled snap on the punt, and more issues here for Indiana State. Oh, boy.
Snowballing. This game is snowballing against the team in blue. Bison have forced some fumbles, and now the blown special team punt.
And good job by Dallas Freeman to recognize that, and he was the one that got in there and made the tackle on the punter, Thomas Bolden. So NDSU will take over at the Sycamore 11.
Nothing wrong with the snap. It was chest high in perfect position. And NDSU has its shortest field of the day right now on the 11.
Today's game brought to you in part by Gate City Bank. Show your Bison pride with an NDSU Citibank, Gate City Bank ATM and check card. Visit gatecitybank.com/mycard. So North Dakota State will take over on the 11, looking to extend the lead. Dunn almost kept his feet. Shoestring tackle there by Evan Gill after a gain of 6.
Number 10, Dunn, carries for the Bison.
Yeah, if he's able to free that leg just one more time, it is an easy 6, but the Bison still pick up half or so on 1st down in tight yardage, and you're still gaining 5+. And both sides. We talked about the defensive line, the offensive line certainly owning things today as well for NDSU.
Stick making a change here as the play clock is down to 3. Dunn through a crease, ran through one tackle, but was dragged down at the 1-yard line.
Might be close to the first down. Still a hair short, I think.
Number 10, Lance Dunn on the
I think
carry.
Stick's play call in that instance doesn't change the play. I think he changed the side of where he wanted to run the ball. So that's why Dunn flips around. Stick saw something that said, hey, let's try this off to the right instead of to the left, where there's been so much success to the left today.
Here comes the beef for NDSU. We saw Ben Ellison check in, Brock Robbins in at fullback. Bruce Anderson bounces off tackle, kept his feet. I think he was, oh, did he lose the football at the end there? I think he did. And Indiana State is on top of it.
Anderson trying to stretch it for the goal line and lost it on the way down.
So NDSU gives it right back as Anderson was fighting his way towards the plane.
ZACK Insurance Company replay. Anderson with the bounce, ball on the right side, inside shoulder. Now he tries to stretch it, and it does come out. Was worried about the touchdown and lost the ball along the way down. The booth will be looking at this, though.
I don't know if we necessarily have an angle that they can
overturn
overturn it unless they could show that the ball broke the plane before it was knocked loose, but going to be tough to get an angle at that.
And I don't know if that last look from what we had there, you could tell if there was a knee or a thigh pad or something on the field, on the turf. Nope, it's going to stand.
So Indiana State will take over at their own 1. Oh, squirting free is Booker. Booker off to the races. Trey Dempsey giving chase and finally pushes him out of bounds at the 47-yard line. 46-yard carry that time for Lamont Booker.
Bison player on the edge on the right side goes for the hit. That's Wimbush. He did not get wrapped around the legs. DeLuca can't get there as well. So if you're getting through Wimbush and past DeLuca, you're going to have a big yardage gain, and that's exactly what Booker had on that play. That's two pretty good guys to work through and around.
Play action. Wimbush coming on a pressure again. That time Sparks steps away, and then a flag comes in as Stanley Jones makes the sack back at the 42.
I think the penalty will be declined because it's holding against Indiana State. But you don't make it second and long, I guess, or first and about 4 yards further is the decision that Coach Kleiman has to make.
On the offense, number 86. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat, first down.
ZACK Insurance Company replay. The hold is on the left side.
Yeah, good job there by Jones tracking down Sparks.
Now they took the Coach Kleiman took the penalty, so it'll be first down again.
Clock continues to run here, now 1:40 and counting.
Indiana State was looking for the home run, though, after the big long run.
Booker. Robbie Grimsley giving chase, and then Jalen Allison makes the tackle after a gain of 1, and a flag comes in again. Face mask is the initial indication, and that looks like it'll go on Jalen Allison.
Face mask. Number 25. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
When Coach Mallory was talking about NDSU heading into the game this week, one of the things he says when you turn on the film and you watch NDSU play, as we'll see the face mask right there, so there's the 15-yard penalty. He said they do a number. He goes, the Bison play violent, they play aggressive, they run the ball, and when they tackle you, you generally go down. And those are all aspects that you need to be a good football team, which is why NDSU is a good football team.
Sparks drops it off. Nice catch by Keys as he spins around one man and gains 5 yards up to the 42.
After the spin, Cole Karch trailing the play and making the tackle. And Cole Karch was involved in an interesting play last week. Nodak Insurance Company replay. Allison went for the hit, did not wrap. And the reason Cole Karch's play last week, the targeting call, was that when you talk to the replay officials this week who looked at it from the valley, they're all like, we're sorry, we blew it.
Yeah, Chris Kleiman mentioning that Monday at his press conference that he had confirmation from the league office, Bill Carollo was in charge of the officials, that was the incorrect call. Not that it does any good at this point. Karch would have been eligible to play this week regardless of whether it was overturned or not. For all the latest information, video, stories, stats, log on to gobison.com. We see Nick DeLuca running around out there a little bit, and we talked to Matt Entz about him. Said, well, how was he feeling? He said, the only difference, he said Sunday, he wasn't that sore. Just said his legs felt heavy on Sunday.
And the big thing is the ice, to make sure that he keeps that knee iced and to make sure the swelling doesn't get worse than it is, I guess. He's coming on a blitz here.
McClendon, boy, nice move by the big tight end. Got out of 2 tackles. He's still on his feet. Now Trey Dempsey holding on and driving him out of bounds. But a first down for the Sycamores up to the 31. We talked about McClendon. He's an interesting matchup. 235-pound tight end, but you see how good his feet are here.
Yeah, it's not an accident that he has more targets than anyone else through the air, but just showing physical ability. And that's the second time that Dempsey was trying to make the tackle to get him out.
Sparks back to work. Gonna air this one out to Pugh, and there to make the interception is James Hendricks at the 6.
Again, he's playing center field as well as anybody on this team, and he picked off another one.
His 4th interception already this season.
We talked with Coach Entz, and Matt said, I think we need to recruit more quarterbacks. Because that's what Hendricks was, and he was just talking about the quarterback's ability to read things and make quick reads. That's what Hendricks does here, gets in position. Jabril Cox was a former quarterback too. That's where the conversation kind of took during our conference call, so it was kind of fun. I thought, Matt was joking a little bit, but I think he was also serious about the quarterbacks changing to defensive players and how they can do that. Esley Thornton, another one.
Lance Dunn lunges ahead to the 10-yard line for a gain of 4. Bison likely content to just let the clock run out here as we're under a minute to go, leading 24-0.
Boy, that pass hung a long time in the air, didn't it?
And Pugh, again, he was open in that window as he was let go, but Hendricks read that perfectly. He was sitting there waiting for it at the 6-yard line.
I mean, that was the wonder. How was his transition to actual game day going to be from quarterback to safety? And now he leads the team in interceptions.
And NDSU will take a knee here to end the first half, leading 24-0. Ryan Geller will try to catch a word here with head coach Chris Kleiman. Get his thoughts on the opening half. And now Ryan is standing by with the new NDSU head coach.
Yeah, guys, Chris, you've been able to capitalize on some turnovers today.
Yeah, great job getting the turnovers and capitalizing. We missed on the last one, but momentum's a funny thing in this game, and we have a chance to go up 31-0, and instead we have to make an interception to keep them out of the end zone, which would have flipped all the momentum. So something we'll talk about at halftime. Guys are playing hard. We're playing physical. We'll just keep making adjustments.
Yeah, James Hendricks, right time at the right place again.
He's got great ball skills and understands their game.
Good luck, Coach.
Appreciate it.
All right, Chris Kleiman will head to the locker room with the Bison as NDSU looks to move to 5-0 this season. Bison Nation flags are flying in the wind, and North Dakota State off to a good start here in Terre Haute, leading 24-0 on the Egg Country Farm Credit Services scoreboard. Stay tuned for the Pro Seat halftime report. Alex Egan, Beth Houle standing by. Back in the studio in Fargo. We'll see you in a few minutes back here in Terre Haute. Welcome back to Terre Haute. 24-0 North Dakota State as we get set for the kickoff here of the second half. North Dakota State will have the ball first after winning the toss and deferring in the first half. Ryan Gellner, our sideline reporter, had a chance to catch up with Indiana State head coach Kurt Mallory a couple of moments ago.
Kurt, turnovers cost you early.
Yeah, they did. You know, we can't put ourselves in a hole like we did. We take, we take one step forward, take 2 steps back. We can't do that to a good team like this.
Injuries also not been kind of all season. Today, no different.
Well, it's part of it. It's part of football. Everyone in college football is going through it, and we just got to get the next guy out.
All right, good luck second half.
Okay, thank you.
Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Ryan. As we take a look at the first half possessions for North Dakota, scoring recap brought to you by Bobcat. You see how North Dakota State, for the most part, pretty efficient. With the exception of the Bruce Anderson fumble, you got to say that was a very successful first half for Corey Messingham.
Yeah, when you're getting 3 out of 4 of your first possessions into the end zone, obviously you're building a big lead, and we know what the Bison do with big leads. They this year they've extended them, but they hardly ever give it back. And other than that one big run from Booker, NDSU has been solid defensively as well. They'd have held the Sycamores to minus yards in the second quarter had it not been for that 46-yard run.
And this is the first opportunity that North Dakota State has had on a kickoff so far here today. Bruce Anderson is deep for NDSU. Ball blown off the tee by the wind, so in comes a holder. The kickoff specialist, by the way, for Indiana State is Andre Lunsford. He handles the kickoffs here for ISU. Peterson Farm Seed kickoff. Kick off your planting season with Peterson Farm Seed, and this thing is boomed through the end zone. And NDSU will start at its own 25-yard line.
Little extra whistle and a little extra jostling there between Josh Hayes and the guy that he was trying to block.
Well, Josh Hayes and Logan McCormick, the 2 true freshmen that are playing here for NDSU in 2017. And Easton Stick, efficient first half numbers as he's really been all season, taking good care of the football, making good decisions as we look at your North Dakota State quarterback, brought to you by the North Dakota Beef Commission. 10 of 14 for 108 yards and 2 touchdowns in that first half.
72% coming in.
Stick is going to keep it this time, and nobody back for Indiana State. Look at the speed from Easton Stick, finally tracked down and tackled from behind by Brenton Lockett at the 31-yard line. And LT, we were just talking about in the last break that if Easton decided to keep that football, there's a lot of room out there for him to run.
Well, I thought there was 3 opportunities at least in the first half. If he pulls that, he's able to get a touchdown. And at times, we don't know how much he's told not to pull it out. But obviously, the Bison coaches talked about it. They said, go ahead and give it a shot. And it was a big shot. It was the longest rush play of the day for NDSU.
43 yards and that run for Easton Stick. Stick now across the middle, finds Darrrius Shepard at the 15-yard line. Good enough for another first down, and just like that, North Dakota State deep inside Indiana State territory.
Shepard's going to take himself out. I thought he did a little bit of a reach back on his right hamstring, but we'll see. But yeah, the Sycamores went to that 6-man pressure, 2 blitz that time. The blitz was coming from the outside to the offense's right. Both guys picked up. NDSU's done an excellent job of not allowing those linebackers to come free, and then that pass goes right over to where those linebackers were. Well done, well executed play on the offense.
Stick out of the shotgun. 2 backs in the backfield here with Dunn and Anderson. Stick to the end zone as an open receiver, touchdown NDSU. That's Dallas Freeman.
Rondell Green had no idea the pass was even thrown. It zips right over his shoulder. Nice slant, simple post route. Green doesn't know the ball's there. He's beat by an easy 3 steps. Touchdown Bison, just like that.
And Freeman, again, has only played in a couple of games this season after injuring a finger. His first catch of 2017 is a touchdown. 14 yards on the connection. Peterson with the extra point, and just 3 plays into the second half. North Dakota State has punched it in again and extended the lead to 31-0 with 13:42 to go on the Egg Country Farm Credit Services scoreboard as Stick hooks up with number 83, Freeman. North Dakota State leading 31-0 here as the Bison strike quickly, just 1:18 into the second half. Dallas Freeman catching his first touchdown reception of the season. Easton Stick his third of the day.
Heading into break, Brian, I like that that replay we had from the end zone camera where it shows Stick passing the receiver open.
Titus McCoy lets it bounce at the 5, and it'll bounce out of bounds once again. Second time that has happened today as a flag flies in.
Well, the Bison trying to get it to that corner as close as possible. The first time NDSU did that, I think that was the one that had the turnover with it.
Ryan Geller on the sidelines has another update for us on the injury front, Ryan.
Hi, guys. First International Bank and Trust injury report. Ty Brooks limped into the locker room at halftime, and the sophomore from Fargo South did not return after half. He remains in the Bison locker room. His status right now unknown, guys.
Yeah, Brooks has been nicked up here the last couple of weeks. A lower leg injury. They're trying to get him healthy. Saw how dynamic he can be, but Ty just not quite back to full strength yet. That's Keys getting the handoff. Nick DeLuca, Aaron Steidel there to make sure he goes nowhere. Loss of 1. Well, maybe back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, we've seen Aaron Steidel do this multiple times so far this year. That's just keep on the hustle, keep running and trailing the play at times and then catching up to him as he did there for no gain.
Let's take a look at your quarterback comparison for Indiana State, brought to you by the North Dakota Beef Commission. Cade Sparks, just 4 completions in that first half with an interception. Of course, he lost a fumble as well, and 38 total passing yards. A majority of those came to Bob Pugh in that first half. Keys again. He is swarmed under at the line of scrimmage. Again, no gain.
Now keep in mind too that Indiana State it's the first time for everything for them, and what they're trying to do is trying to establish themselves as a running team. So yes, you're down by 31. You're going, what are you running 2 plays up the middle for? This is a big picture situation, I think, for Indiana State. Obviously, they want to break one, but they're trying to fundamentally get something in place.
So 3rd and 10 coming up from the 35. Sparks going to air it out. Allison on Bob Pugh, and Pugh had it in his hands and then dropped it. One-on-one coverage.
2 real good athletes going at it down the far sideline. Nodak Insurance Company replay. Allison thinks he's pushed. He trips down. Pugh has it, doesn't have it, thinks he might get it, and then doesn't have it again. Coming right at you. This should be a good, really good look where Pugh just juggled it. If he holds on, it's touchdown.
Instead, that will bring on Thomas Bolden for another punt. Dimitri Williams putting a little pressure on that time as Shepard scampers to the near side of the field before he is wrapped up on the play by Raymond Clifford. We'll take another timeout as North Dakota State, leading by 31, will have the football once again. 12:04 to go here in the second quarter. North Dakota State in second possession here in the second half, starting at its own 31-yard line. Back to the ground game. Anderson met right in the backfield, and he is driven back. So a number of guys in there, including Inoki Moala. Moala, sophomore out of Mishawaka, Indiana. 4 tackles last year against North Dakota State.
He had some linebacker help there too from Clifford, so obviously it's all out against the run for Indiana State here. They know the Bison with that big lead want to try to keep it on the ground, try to pick up some first downs, and try to keep that clock rolling. And this might be a little easier, Brian. This could be a pass, but I mean, spread it out to run it.
Inside run, Anderson. Taken down again by Lockett, who's been busy today. Gain of about 6.
And the reason I say it might be easier to spread it out to run it is you're forcing the defense to play wide. You're creating a little bit more space for Anderson. Look at Bright Messner. He didn't have anybody even hit on that play, trying to get in on it. Nodak Insurance Company sponsors your replays here on NDSU football.
North Dakota State, 140 yards rushing so far today. Heavy pressure, stick goes to the air. Nice catch by Shepard. Got his hands out there, and it's football stuck, gain of 10.
Coach Messingham, I asked him a question. I said, nitpick a little bit. What's on the offense? We know what's going right. Nitpick a little bit. And he talked about pass pro by running backs. And number 8 right there, Bruce Anderson wasn't a smashing block, but he got in the way of Clifford enough to keep his quarterback free in order to make that pass and allow Shepard to make a nice catch. So the running backs must do their job against the blitz. Anderson did. The play worked.
Kiaris Ardley. Pretty good coverage that time on Shepard. Now Dunn tiptoes through a hole, still on his feet. Dunn carrying tacklers inside the 40 down to the 38.
Coach Messingham also felt that sometime today a simple power look or a zone, inside zone, would break free because of the pressure. This is a power. You see Kunert pulling, sealing that guy off. Dunn picks up the first down.
Lonnie Walker was there to make sure Dunn did not take it all the way. Gain of 17 for Lance. Outside give this time is Dunn. Steps over one man. How about Dunn? Stayed on his feet, tiptoes the sideline, and then finally steps out of bounds at the 29-yard line.
He's so strong. And he has a number of things that a running back must have, but his instinct and how to keep his body in position. He turns the corner, but did you see how square his shoulders are to contact? That's why he can keep going so well, as another Sycamore player is down.
That's over on the sideline. There's been a lot of Sycamore players down this season and in this game. Now the play clock needs to get reset. Second and 1 for the Bison. Dunn remains as a single tailback here. Play action for Stick. Going deep again. That pass wobbled a little bit, but somehow Wentz adjusts and makes another catch down to the 2.
Maybe that's how you know it's your day, when the worst looking pass you threw all day still connects. Nodak Insurance Company replay. They have the tight end isolated. It is going to wobble into the air. It's going to hang up, but Connor Wentz makes the catch. He's been the receiving tight end today as well. We know how well he can block.
Came into this game with just 1 reception on the season.
He has 2 touchdown catches, and now that long one to take it down inside the 5.
Dunn pushing. He is in for another touchdown.
The handoff goes to number 10.
I just talked about Connor Wentz's ability to block, their emotions in the backfield, and the power eye, and is a part of the surge that helps the Bison pick up another touchdown. The versatility of the tight end group allows Coach Messingham and the offense to run a number of different things and run them well.
So Lance Dunn now 74 rush yards on the day and a pair of touchdowns.
Nodak Insurance Company replay. Probably looking at this angle back up top to see if he got in. Knee down. Was the ball extended when the knee down? The guys off to our left are going to try to determine that.
It was close.
Still looking at it.
The ruling on the previous play is a touchdown. Play is under review.
I'll take a peek.
But while they're looking at that, Bison fans are spoiled. And here's why. This win will be the 11th road game win in a row as you take another look, determine for at home for yourself. The 12 straight win away, if you want to count the 2015 FCS championship game. The Bison are going to win their 88th game in the last 6 years against, just a handful of losses. The best winning percentage in the FCS the last 5 years. In this series is going to go to 9-1 against Indiana State. That's pretty good.
That's really good. Most wins in Division I.
Period. Alabama's second.
Yep.
In the last 6-year period.
The last 6-year period. Today's game is brought to you in part by Gate City Bank, and for a limited time only, receive $700 off your mortgage closing costs. For more details, visit gatecitybank.com/betterhomeloans.
Well, just to go, I think we've made a determination.
They're going to let it go. Yep.
Let it stand. Touchdown stands.
Peterson on to add the extra point. Down, up, and good. And North Dakota State extends the lead again, 38-0 now, 8:29 to go. Here in the third quarter, the Bison are rolling here in Terre Haute, up 38 on the Egg Country Farm Credit Services scoreboard. North Dakota State getting set for another kickoff after another touchdown for Lance Dunn, who's now got 12 on the season.
Rushing.
13 total.
Add is, when you're talking most touchdowns in the country, you got to add in the passing one as well.
We're fighting off the Wasps here in Terre Haute. Got a few of them floating around us out here. Titus McCoy let this one bounce, and it'll go out of bounds again.
He got lucky. It bounced straight left and went out.
Third time that has happened to Cam Peterson today, where he hasn't kicked out of bounds initially, but it's bounced out of bounds on him. As we take a look at your scoring drive, brought to you by Bobcat on this scoring recap. 7 plays, 69 yards, 335. A couple of big plays on that drive, the 17-yard run from Lance Dunn, and then the connection from Easton Stick to Connor Wentz, which got the ball down to the 2. So here comes Sparks. Sparks setting up a screen. He's got Booker. Nick DeLuca comes flying over and upends him at midfield. Number 49 looks okay running there.
That's why the NFL is interested, because DeLuca was nowhere near that play. In fact, he was on the near side hash, read the screen. It wasn't on his side of the field, got across and cut Booker down. That was impressive.
Yes. Oh, go ahead, LT. Matt Entz had just mentioned us. I think that, Nick was not going to be Nick when he came back. We tried to hold him out of some practice. He's like, no way, I'm going. Good move by Booker on Grimsley that time in the hole. And Booker still going. And finally, Trey Dempsey makes the tackle at about the 26.
Well, you mentioned Matt Entz, and we asked Matt about this guy, number 6, Booker, and he said he's a dynamic tailback, and we're seeing some of that. He had the big 46-yard rush earlier in the game. He does a nice job there of breaking a few tackles, keeping himself free, and gaining another first down.
Booker now 100 yards on the ground today, averaging 11 yards per carry.
For the most part, the Bison defense has not had an issue with the shift trade motion today.
Jaquan Keys this time. Dragged down on the play by Levi Jordheim. Trey Dempsey also in there to help make the tackle. Short gain.
I like what Blake Williams did on that play. The number 69, the nose guard. He kept half of his body free. He was able to spin, get inside the play, and make a play off of his initial block, and then get in on the tackle.
It's another guy that's really coming to his own this year, LT. A junior out of Washington, Michigan, Blake Williams.
Should mention Marquise Bridges in there playing corner now.
another carry. Bring up 3rd and 6.
Bridges broke to the inside, tried to make the tackle for the loss, but missed it. Good thing for NDSU. Keys was bounced that one back inside instead of outside. He might have had more yards on the outside because Bridges busted down probably a little too quick.
Sparks quickly tipped and intercepted by JALEN ALLISON. Thomas had his hands on it, and now Allison back the other way. And pushed out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Another turnover for Indiana State.
But you can't fault the quarterback on this one since it was through the hands, but JALEN ALLISON in the proper position. Safeties are doing that. I mean, Hendricks made his interception because James was in the proper spot. Through the hands right to number 21, and then Allison sees that the wide side of the field is opened up. He's hoping Robbie Grimsley can get one big block for him. Allison unable to turn the corner, but again, the Bison winning the turnover battle today and winning the scoreboard battle right now, 38-0.
15 came over.
So Easton sticking the offense back on the field here, starting at their own 30. Dropped off to Desmond Kane, the Illinois transfer. Up to the 35-yard line, good enough for 5 yards, just the 2nd reception on the season as the transfer continues to learn the offense and the position here at NDSU.
Yeah, his first catch was for 20 yards. This one trying to see if Kane can pick up a block on the outside. One thing Desmond's, I don't know if struggled is the right word, but he's had some issues with being at the right depth at the right time. And that just comes from learning a brand new offense, which is what he had to do. And when I say depth, I mean the pass routes depth. That
Anderson ran over Ardley, eventually dragged down at the 42, good enough for a first down.
Well, Des Kane also in there with a block right at about where the first down marker stick was. He helped Anderson finish that that run. Of course, Bruce and Lance just tremendous on the back end of their runs. They finish, and all the NDSU backs finish so well. It's an ongoing theme. We've talked about it every game so far this year, and we have to again today because that's what they do.
Freeman in motion. Freeman gets the carry. And there goes Freeman down the sidelines. How about the speed from Dallas inside the 30 down to the 28-yard line?
Able to turn the corner on the jet.
Junior from St. Michael, Minnesota.
Nodak Insurance Company replay. Anderson with a block on the edge. A good downfield block again from the wideout.
Ardley making the tackle there for Indiana State.
Look at Nate Jensen with a good one too, 85. He seals the inside, got a kick out on the outside.
Stick quickly out to Daniel Polanski, who is drilled as soon as he caught it. Nice job by Lonnie Walker coming up to smack him.
Pretty solid catch too, considering the circumstances. This one will be a low angle replay coming right at you. Now ideally, Polanski doesn't have to leave his feet to make that catch and hopefully make a move to avoid the hit. He couldn't do that. Pass was a little bit high. Good catch, solid defense.
Stick to throw and almost intercepted. Jordan Jackson had it in his hands but could not hang on to it.
Stick was looking for the out route. It's a single receiver side. He had Dallas Freeman over here running about a 12-yard out. Or no, excuse me, Des Kane running the out. Might have telegraphed that one a little too much.
So 3rd and long now for the Bison. Jeff Ilias into the game. a screen. Done. Had a blocker in front. A flag comes in really late. And I wonder if that might be a late hit as Jackson went after stick. Ardley made the tackle. There was a roughing the passer called on Jackson. Let's take a look at the Nodak Insurance Company replay.
Pass away 1, 2, almost 3 steps before the hit. I initially thought Dunn might have a chance to pop it simply because all 3 linebackers came. On that particular instance, it was a nickel, 3 down, 3 linebackers, and all of the linebackers come on a 6-man rush.
Would have brought up 4th down without the penalty. Instead, North Dakota State set up 1st and 10 at the 11.
I think the Bison have 12 men out there. Nope, 11. Oh, there's a kink in the chain on the far side. It was maybe 9.5 yards there for a little while.
Well, it's fixed now, and Bison set up here 1st and 10 at the 11. Stick, play action to the air, and another touchdown for a tight end. This time it's Ben Ellefson. 2nd touchdown reception of the season for the Hawley, Minnesota product.
It's a touchdown tight end Saturday here at Terre Haute. Ben has, what, 2 catches this year? 2 touchdowns. This one a little bit further. His first reception was a 3-yard touchdown.
Extra point is up and through from Peterson, 45-0. Now your score, 2:42 to go here in the 3rd quarter.
But you just can't give this team a second chance, and if you give it a second chance, you're going to pay. And in this case, you pay for a touch. You pay because it's a touchdown. The extra chance is that penalty on the late hit on stick.
Today's game brought to you in part by Gate City Bank. Gate City Bank has been serving customers and investing in a better way of life since 1923, with 36 locations in 19 communities across North Dakota and western Minnesota. Let's look at your Bobcat scoring recap for North Dakota State. The penalty helped a little bit, obviously, on that 3rd and long for NDSU, but Bison take advantage. 11-yard touchdown reception to Ellefson, 7 plays, 70 yards, and 259. JALEN Allison, obviously, the interception to set things up.
The Bison offense has done an exceptional job of having explosive plays, 20-yard plus plays. I asked Coach Hedberg in a conversation I had with him this week, I said, how many plays over 20 yards do you think you guys have had this year? This is before today. And he goes, oh, geez, I don't know, a dozen? I go, no, you've had 23. He's like, wow, really? I go, yeah, that's how impressive you guys have been.
9 different receivers have caught a pass today for NDSU, so a lot of different guys getting an opportunity. Oh, boy.
That's a free ball. Oh, now it goes into the end zone.
Some miscommunication there between Hamid Oidel and Titus McCoy. You got a couple of freshmen back there again, still learning.
And if that ball checks up at the 1 or the 2, the Bison could pick it up and go for another touchdown. It just rolled across.
See number 14, Isaac Harker. He's got a dozen starts for Indiana State, but has been relegated to backup role. There's Oidel and McCoy. Fortunately, the ball bounces in the end zone for the Sycamores.
I was wondering if we would see Harker, but the Sycamores do not want a 2-man quarterback situation. They're looking for someone to be the guy.
Late handoff. Again, it's Keys. Keeping his feet. Good job by Keys. Lunging ahead and gaining 5 yards.
I think it was Steidel that ended up making the tackle, or he was in on the tackle, but Keys done a fine job of keeping things alive when there was a lot of traffic around him.
Second down.
Keys stood up there by JALEN Allison. Then he gets a whole bunch of help, including Stanley Jones, who just jumped on top of the pile.
Yeah, you could see number 94. You could read his jersey easy, I should say, just because you mentioned, Brian. He jumped on top, and there's Henry Van Dellen getting the arm loose.
Fortunately for NDSU, Van Dellen obviously in the backup role. Cole Davis, who separated his shoulder a couple weeks ago, his arm is now out of a sling, so that's at least good news for the Bison, hoping to get him back here in a couple of weeks.
Best case scenario with Davis, they thought maybe 4 weeks, so he's about halfway through if he stays on schedule.
Sparks intercepted again as he overthrew his intended target. Trey Dempsey's got this one. And Dempsey taken down by Keys at the 35-yard line. Another turnover for the Sycamores. Boy, the Bison got all sorts of picks today. My goodness. Dempsey's got another one. Hendricks has one. Allison's got one.
That Bison defense over the course of has put the offense in such poor positions that these quarterbacks have had to gamble, and when you gamble deep and over the middle, this one sails, and when you sail it, that's when you have Hendricks and you have Dempsey and you have Grimsley picking off all those passes. A lot of safety interceptions this year by NDSU.
And Henry Van Dellen into the game now, quarterback for NDSU. Redshirt freshman out of Plymouth, Minnesota.
Well, I know Henry was warming up his arm, but I don't know how much you have to warm it up to hand it off.
Anderson put a stiff arm on one man and then driven out of bounds by Walker. Gained about 4 yards. I have to tell you, LT, I've never seen this many wasps floating around in my life. They're all over the place up here.
Well, at first I thought, boy, you get to have the window open in front of you. That's a good thing. Congratulations. And now I'm kind of glad that I'm behind the glass. But I don't know. The wasps are coming in. They're taking a look at you and then leaving.
Yeah,
so far, they haven't stuck around. Yeah.
Well, I got my little spot chart here, which I've used as a swatter a couple of times, and that's knocked a few of them out of here. Van Dellen will throw it this time. On target to Polanski. Close to the sticks. Might have enough for a first down.
I think he's just a hair short, judging by where the initial spot was.
Needs the 23, and it does appear to be short. And that will take us to the end of the third quarter here in Terre Haute. And it's the fourth quarter, so hold up that floor, because it's the 4 for 4 from PetroServe USA. Get a pizza, 2 cookies, and a drink for just $4 at all 22 PetroServe USA locations. We'll be back with the final 15 from here in Terre Haute coming up after this. Back with the fourth quarter from here in Terre Haute, Missouri Valley Conference football on the KBOI KFYR Bison Network. Third and very short here for NDSU as you take a look at the numbers for Henry Van Dellen this season. Anderson working off a block and then shooting ahead for a first down up to the 21. Quick update from down in Vermillion. Big game going on there between Youngstown State and South Dakota. Battle of unbeatens in the conference. Youngstown coming off an impressive victory at home over South Dakota State, and USD holding on for dear life in Macomb against Western Illinois last Saturday. 7-0 Penguins in the first quarter.
Of course, the Bison heading to Ohio next week. NDSU, the highest scoring team in the country and the best defense in the country so far. They're 251 to 31.
Adam Cofield, his first carry, stacked up, finished off by Evan Gill, but a number of Sycamores in the backfield there to help make that play, including Norvell McGlawn, who got pretty good penetration. We had a memorable trip to Youngstown last time we went there, LT.
We did. for a number of reasons. Mostly negative. Is that what you meant?
Well,
the short answer to that question is yes, right? We should mention the Luke Bacon. I saw Zach Kubis was in there. I think Cordell Volson. So
Zemer.
Yep.
Van Dellen, plenty of time. Now going to take off with it. And Henry smacks pretty good in the middle of the field that time by DeJuan Tyson. Or was it Ardley that came in? One of the two for the tackle. I guess it was Ardley making the stop after a gain of 8.
Check, check, run. That's what Henry had to do on that play. His deep check, Freeman, he was covered. Looks to the flat route, his escape, he was covered as well. So Van Dellen gets what he can, and that's down to the 13. But I think probably the best thing is that he trusted his reads. 1 is covered, 2 is covered. I need to run.
Henry does have a rushing touchdown this season. Anderson met in the hole. Should have enough for a first down up to the 11-yard line. Ardley in on another tackle for Indiana State.
Just a little bit of an adjustment right after he gets the handoff, and then you explode back toward the line. That's what Bruce Anderson was able to do on that particular play. Just a small adjustment, probably half a body width to his right. Gets past that guy and picks up the first down. As impressive as the yards per carry for Lance Dunn has been coming into this game, I mean, 6.8, that's what Bruce was, almost 7 yards a carry.
Inside handoff, room to run, touchdown, Adam Cofield. First career touchdown for the redshirt freshman.
Bison go over the 50-point mark. 2 offensive linemen pull on that play, and that blows the hole wide open off tackle left. Nodak Insurance Company replay. See those 2 big boys in there? There's Kubis getting the block.
Boy, Cordell Volson laid a good one too. Those 2 guys did a nice job coming over and sealing that off for Cofield as the Bison lead with the extra point is up to 52-0 with 12:11 to go in the 4th quarter.
That's how you draw it up. You draw it up for the 2 guys who are pulling. One guy seals inside, one guy kicks outside. Running back splits them. Touchdown.
52-0 on the Ag Country Farm Credit Services scoreboard. We step aside. North Dakota State has this one well in hand, leading 52-0 here with a 12:11 to go. Indiana State fell behind 24-0 to Illinois State last week, and then played a little better in the second half and ended up losing 24-13. But today, North Dakota State has really controlled everything, and the turnovers have certainly hurt the Sycamores. They got a bunch of them today. Titus McCoy, his first opportunity for a kickoff return up to the 23-yard line. That Peterson Farm Seed kickoff. Kick off your planning season with Peterson Farm Seed. Titus McCoy is kind of an interesting fellow too. Played for 2 state titles, almost 3,900 career yards and 54 touchdowns in high school at Greenwood, Indiana, or Center Grove. Father played football and mom a cheerleader at Southern Baptist, and his brother actually is a basketball player at UAB after 2 years at a junior college. Take a look at the Bobcats scoring recap. 7 plays, 33 yards, and 357 as Cofield runs it in from 11 yards out for his first career touchdown.
I'm looking at number 38 out there. Good to see Jackson Brown get into the game for NDSU.
Yeah, Brown sidelined since the opening game, as Booker was the one guy that looked like he was going to get the football, but now Isaac Harker in at quarterback, and he gains 14 yards on that run as he keeps it on the read option.
Harker played a lot last year, but again, it's a new coaching staff, a new offensive philosophy. And he had over 2,500 yards last year, and he has to come, I believe he has to come off if he lost his hat. They're going to let him stay in. Well, Indiana State will use a timeout, then Harker can stay in.
So it looks like the day is done for Cade Sparks. And Harker We'll take Indiana State home the rest of the way. Today's game brought to you in part by Gate City Bank. Show your Bison pride with an NDSU Gate City Bank ATM and check card. Visit gatecitybank.com/mycard. So here comes Indiana State after the timeout. And Booker will remain in the game at tailback.
He's popped some big ones, but by and large, I think on McClendon, the Bison have done a good job today on number 15.
Motion man is Hamid Oidel, and Booker gets the carry. We saw Bo Pauly help get on that tackle, and a middle linebacker for the Bison, a redshirt freshman that's steadily been getting some reps. Young man out of Becker, Minnesota, went to Becker High School. Had a lot of success in that high school program there. Dylan Radins, his high school teammate, was shelved with an injury. First game of the season, offensive lineman.
And Pauly is in at linebacker. Jabril Cox is playing some linebacker. Mercadell is in there as well.
Harker trying to set up a screen, and that thing was read beautifully by NDSU, and smartly Harker just spikes it in the turf.
That was Blake Williams that read that one. You're supposed to fool the defensive lineman. The defensive lineman needs to think, I got to get that quarterback, and on a little bit of a free release. Williams read it, backed off, nowhere for the play to go.
Don Davis in a corner, so a lot of guys in the 2 deep here getting an opportunity for some extended reps here in the fourth quarter. Parker steps up, fires low. Was it caught? Incomplete. Thomas was there to try to make the catch on the turf, but the official said no. Bring up fourth down.
Nodak Insurance Company replay. Thomas comes back for it.
Might have skipped off the turf.
Or his hands might have been underneath it. I think the ball hits the turf.
Pretty good effort there for the freshman.
But you mentioned some guys on the defensive, 2 deep, and we're seeing them play right now. It's almost impossible to say that there's backups on the defensive line because the Bison depth is so strong on the D line, both in the tackles and at the ends, that those guys rotate so much and play so many snaps early, it's hard to really say that one's a starter and one's a backup.
Flag came in for delay of game on Indiana State. We'll back them up 5. Bolden puts another one away, bounces down to Grimsley, who is content to take a knee at the 35. And that's where North Dakota State will have it when we come back. 11:01 to go from here at Terre Haute. Back here in Terre Haute, 11:01 to go here in the football game as North Dakota State has the football back, leading very comfortably 52-0. Van Dellen, inside give, nice move in the hole, and again it's Cofield darting up past the 40.
Number 18, Adam Cofield.
Cofield already 40 carries this season. Big reason for that, LT, is just the fact that NDSU has been in this position a lot so far this season. Comfortable lead in hand going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that and an injury.
Yeah, Cy Brooks.
Well, and another injury.
Damaris Pearful.
There you go. So those two kids are Cofield is getting more carries because otherwise those 3 guys in the positions the Bison have got themselves in with these big leads, all 3 of those guys would have carries.
Cofield, raiding blocks, was popped in the hole, fell forward to about the 45, yard short of a first down. We talked to Matt Epps, too, about how Dan Marlette was doing after he was lost for the season with a torn ACL last week, and Dan was playing so well. So the swelling's gone down quite a bit, surgery expected in the next 10 days, and then the hope is that he can come back in the spring, do some individual drills and 7-on-7 work before hitting the summer hard in the conditioning department.
Which is a similar situation, if you remember when Levi Jordheim had his knee injury. That was a similar time schedule in which they worked Levi back into the fold. And he actually ended up doing more that spring than they probably wanted him to.
And Cofield almost broke free again. Tackled by Cooper Bledsoe, another freshman from Van, Texas. There are 50 freshmen on this roster at Indiana State, redshirt or true. And the majority of those guys have had to step up and play some significant reps.
And this is the meat grinder part of the schedule, too, for Indiana State. The Bison know that they have that part of their schedule coming up here within the next month.
Side give again, a couple of yards.
You like to see the footwork from these young kids who are so big, and I'm talking about the linemen out there now. Kubas at 6'4", about 290. You know, you talk about size with offensive linemen, and really, size does not determine whether they can play the position or not. Footwork, with their feet and hands, those are the things that determine whether you're good enough to play, not pure size. It's one of the more overlooked aspects of football, I think.
Van Dellen to throw this time. Looking at his read, now throwing downfield and overshooting his intended target. Polanski incomplete. One thing you saw on that play, though, is the arm strength of Henry Van Dellen, which is why they really liked him. He came to camp before his senior year, and even Tim Polasek, when he was here, saying this guy's arm was stronger than Carson Wentz's arm when he got here. That's how much of a hose he had. Not quite the athlete Carson was, obviously. But the one thing he can do is throw the football.
So far today, I think his read progressions have been fairly solid. He checked 2 different places and then said, well, I'll try the home run ball. Maybe I can get a 50-50 out of it.
Van Dellen to throw again. Fires the comeback route to Freeman on target. Freeman kept his feet but stepped out of bounds about a yard short or 2 of the first down marker.
You know, you talk about the arm strength, Brian, and we saw him meaning Henry, sail that one downfield. But on plays like that is when you really get the opportunity to see a guy uncork it. Whips it through, gets out there on that. You can't candy that one out there. You have to zip it, and that's when, even when Carson was redshirting, and the first couple of years when he was the backup to Jensen, you'd just watch him throw that ball, and it would just come sailing out of his hand, and you'd just smile and go, wow. That there's going to be something special, you know, in the way he can throw the ball, and that goes back to some of the points I think you're making with Van Dellen off the bat.
I'll never forget watching Carson come in the game the first time, as Pugh calls for the fair catch at his own 9. When Wentz threw the ball, he almost knocked over Andrew Oakland with it, and I thought, wow, that kid has a big arm. 7:26 to go here in the 4th quarter. We'll be back to wrap things up here on the KFY Hour, KVOY, Bison Network. 7:26 to go. Indiana State with the ball starting at their own 10. Titus McCoy darts through. Aaron Mercado, Jabril Cox, a number of others. Darren Kelly also in there with a Logan McCormick to help make that tackle.
Well, you just named half the players out there.
They run to the ball. So one thing I think, even when you see a lot of these guys 2-3 deep, some of the backups, so everybody in North Dakota State, they run to the ball so well. It's just one of those culture things. You know, some coaches, it's for years taken for granted, but a lot of coaches try to get that out of their starters from week to week, and they can't. That thing had no chance.
There's another 5 white jerseys around the play. Stanley Jones off the bottom of the pile. Cole Karch, Hayes, Cox.
getting some opportunities out there as well at safety with Darren Kelly. Parker squeezed that into a tight window, and Pugh kept his feet. Bob Pugh chased down from behind by the true freshman Hayes at about the 36.
Pass is complete to number 4, Bob Pugh.
Well, I think there was one of the Bison players, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing it was Mercadal who went for the hit instead of going for the tackle. And when Pugh slid past that, you know it was going to be for big yards.
McCoy cutting back. Caleb Butler, Mercadal in there to help make that tackle along with Grant Morgan.
Number 30, McCoy carries for the Sycamores. Tackle by number 55, Personnel.
At least one thing with the way the first half of the year has gone and the way the scoring has been for NDSU, we have had a golden opportunity to learn just about every kid's name and number. That's a good thing.
McCoy ahead for a couple more yards up to the 31.
Well, this was supposed to be a kind of a see how good we are day for ISU. Hasn't turned out that way, has it?
McCoy stopped in the backfield by Tuska for a loss of 2.
And others, Cole Karch, 93 and 53 combining on that tackle.
Number 30, McCoy carries for the Sycamores. Tackle by number 93.
Derek Tuska's parents actually on my flight from Minneapolis to Indianapolis yesterday. And how did I know that? Because they got their kids' numbers all over their gear.
They're not hiding it, nor should they.
Parker going to take off with it. He's got a ways to go and taken down by Mercadal short of the 30-yard line, and that will be a turnover on downs for Indiana State.
I talked to a gentleman this morning with North Dakota plates on it, and I could see he had his golf clubs in there, and we started chatting, and he's like, I'm not even going back home. I'm going to Youngstown for the game next week. I've got friends in Nashville. I got some people I'm going to stay with in Columbus. I'm just hanging out on the road. He said, I'm retired, and this is why I'm retired. I'm going to enjoy it and end up in Youngstown a week from today.
And your response to him was congratulations.
I did, it was. I said congratulations. And then I think I said, I'm jealous.
Is James Hendricks in there a quarterback
Sure,
now?
looks like it.
Victor Kachevsky in a running back who is listed as a wide receiver, but he's gotten some carries before at tailback and taken some reps in practice just for this purpose. Without really another running back available today, Kachevsky's kind of the fourth string guy at that position.
Well, and James Hendricks is the emergency, quote-unquote, quarterback, which is why it's always nice to have him take a couple of snaps here. James is, coach's son. We talked about his ability from playing quarterback to make the adjustment to defense, and he's a smart kid. He still knows the calls. He knows the plays. Little refresher course.
Kachevsky again lunges forward for a couple more yards. This copyrighted broadcast is property of North Dakota State University. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or distribution without the consent of NDSU is strictly, and I mean strictly, prohibited.
When you spend time in a hotel on the road, you got a lot of time to learn things and read books and magazines about the place you're after the snap. I have a question for you, Brian.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this one. I'm sure it has something to do with historical something. Cofield taken down immediately on the play. That little screen pass. Joe Wilt was the guy that got in there. Excuse me, Anthony Tucker was the guy that got in there to make the stop.
Okay, your question. Town name Terre Haute. It's a French word meaning what in an English translation?
I have zero clue.
Terre Haute means high ground. Above the banks of the Wabash River.
Which is the state river of Indiana.
It is the official state river of Indiana.
We'll be your tour guides here on the historical tour of Terre Haute after the game as well.
I got to see Larry Bird's statue. That was cool.
That was cool. Under 2 to go. Jackson Kuntz has not been very busy today, just his second punt.
Both good ones.
And Pugh an opportunity here. And Pugh into the clear. And Bob Pugh has a couple guys to beat. One of them is the punter. And wrapped up by Dimitri Williams, who showed some good hustle coming back all the way across the field to the 25, and then flags come in.
Well, excellent speed there from Williams, but he also did a good job. He didn't have the best angle, so he really had to turn on the juice. Nodak Insurance Company replay. Pugh getting some special teams work. He breaks that first line right there. You see Jabril Cox made a dive. He couldn't get there. And at this point, he's thinking, I'm going to bust it. But boy, that, speaking of busting it, that was going to be a late hit.
Yeah,
what
that's
the call's
going to be. No question.
But Dimitri Williams with a good burst of speed to turn the to turn that corner and make the tackle. Indiana State still trying to get that goose egg off the board. And again, to this point, deep into the year, NDSU's defense has only allowed 31 points.
You see Trey Dempsey over on that far sideline. He's screaming at these guys to keep them out of the end zone. These guys want the shutout.
Going to see Zach Larkin play some quarterback. Oh no, he's in there. Zach Larkin is in there. He's listed as a quarterback, but he asked to go to tight end. I thought maybe he was going to take a snap there. Which is an interesting story too, number 7 for Indiana State. You see him working there. He was going to be too far deep on the depth chart at quarterback. He went to the coaches and said, I want to play tight end. And then they said, but you've never played tight end before. And he goes, I know, I want to learn it.
Well, the injury to Gage Lackey really hurt them. He was supposed to be the starter at Indiana State, and he's been out for the remainder of the season as well. Easton Stick, another efficient day for Eastern. He's got it done. As they take a look at the targeting on Zemer, and Easton, another very, very, very efficient day. It continues to have a very good 2017 season.
We mentioned it earlier too. This is back where it started for him. If you remember Carson Wentz's injury, when Carson broke his wrist, that puts Easton Stick into a start, in his first start right here at Indiana State. He was over 100 yards passing, over 100 yards rushing in that game a couple of years ago.
There are the numbers for the junior from Omaha.
18 of 23. His efficiency through the air has been I would say a dramatic increase over last year, because that was kind of the knock on Easton, and he was harder on himself than anyone else was in that department. He goes, no coach, I need to get better. This is what they're looking at here. Nodak Insurance Company replay. Zemer comes in a little bit earlier. We know it's a late hit. Does he lead with his helmet?
So they're going to lose Zemer for the last 124 here, and then the next half at Youngstown. That ends up being a really bad penalty on Zemer.
With 1:24 to play. And now they'll go over to Coach Kleiman and have to explain things to there. And after the penalty call, this is also the protocol. The player who has the targeting called against him must leave the field to play.
Zemer, the senior out of Lakeville North High School. Backup guard.
Yeah, listed as the backup left guard behind Messner.
I have to say that's the first time I've ever seen a targeting penalty on an offensive lineman.
Not that he wanted to be in a position to have to make a tackle after a really long punt return, but that was the situation he found himself in.
So we'll finally get this drive started after the long punt return from Pugh. Parker. Out to your guy, LT, the big tight end, Zach Larkin.
Quarterback slash tight end. And how did that get through the hands of Stanley Jones? I think Stanley thought he had a chance to pick it off, and it just zipped between his hands and out to Larkin.
Parker. His other tight end, who was stood up at the goal line, turned back by Pauly and others at about the 1.
I think Bo Pauly had the first really nice hit, and the Bison get the ball out of there, and the shutout has been preserved. Turnover.
Holy cow. So at the goal line was Cade Parrott, a freshman tight end.
Kelly has the ball.
So Darren Kelly, the senior of the North Dakota State College of Science transfer, with the turnover. And yet another turnover for Indiana State. So the Bison just can run a couple of plays here and get out of here.
And really the score that you see on the upper left there is a reflection of as many turnovers as we've had. I mean, that's how lopsided the turnover department is today, leading to the score as lopsided as it is.
Van Dellen will just push it ahead, get some help from Malmstrom. Get it up to the 4-yard line, and I think the Bison can take a knee from here on out and call it good.
But through 5 games, NDSU's scoring margin 258 to 31.
Wow. But the gauntlet gets tougher starting next week.
It starts now, yeah.
You talk about Youngstown, going to Youngstown, coming home against Western Illinois, Northern Iowa, then at South Dakota State. And there's a look at it. October 14th, that's next Saturday, 6 p.m. That is an ESPN3 only game. That will not be on NBC, North Dakota statewide, but there will be a pregame show before that. So tune in for the pregame show on the KVOY KFYR Bison Network, and then flip over to ESPN3 for the game as a part of the league broadcast rights. Today's game brought to you in part by Gate City Bank. Today's game, thanks to Gate City Bank for doing so. $700 off your mortgage closing costs for a limited time only. So for more details, visit gatecitybank.com/betterhomeloans. NDSU is 5-0. Indiana State is 0-5 as the two teams exchange pleasantries. Ryan Gellner will catch a word here with head coach Chris Kleiman to get his thoughts as the Bison move forward and get ready for their toughest stretch of games. It starts now with Youngstown, a bunch of nationally ranked opponents in the FCS. There are 7 teams in the Missouri Valley ranked in the top 25, and there are 4 in the top 10 alone. So certainly some challenges await Coach Kleiman and company, and Ryan Gellner standing by.
Chris, it was close, but you preserved the shutout.
Yeah, it was a dominant performance. I thought second half coming out against the wind and getting 2 quick scores. Really good play calling, good job blocking up front. Easton made some big plays and really challenged guys at halftime, and I thought we played a great second half.
Yeah, this is a great win for your program, and now it really gets tough.
Yeah, we're going to enjoy this one. Worry about the next one next week.
All right, good luck next week. It's Chris.
All right, thanks so much, Ryan. And yeah, they're going to worry about next week, but you can't tell me it won't be on their minds on the charter plane or trip home. I can guarantee you the coaches will be watching film and watching the remainder of that Youngstown State South Dakota game intently. 52-0 is your final score. We'll be back to wrap things up from here at Memorial Stadium in Terre Haute next. Back here to wrap things up in Terre Haute, Indiana, as North Dakota State moves to 5-0 on the season. Impressive victory, 52-0 is your final score. The Sycamores dropping to 0-5. NDSU now, a big matchup on the road with Youngstown coming up next Saturday night out at Stambaugh Stadium. Our player of the game, brought to you by NODAC Insurance, is a guy that has not had a lot of catches, but he made the most of them today, and that's Connor Wentz.
Connor Wentz with a couple of touchdowns. That was the easy one. Another one coming a little bit later. This time he takes that one in, and Wentz just is a touchdown man today. It was a tight end touchdown Saturday, and Connor Wentz with a couple of 3 catches and 2 TDs.
He's your NODAC Insurance Company player of the game. Nice to talk about another Wentz on this broadcast again. We've been doing that for a few years.
Yeah, we've talked about Carson a little bit. Trent Miles, a former coach here, is actually an offensive assistant for the Eagles right now, working with the offense. I don't know how much he works with Carson, but there's another little Indiana State and NDSU tie.
Well, let's take a look at your final stats, brought to you by the North Dakota Certified Seed Producers. And the stats were heavily skewed in favor of NDSU, without a doubt. The rushing yardage, pretty good. Total yardage, pretty good. Nice balanced attack for NDSU.
At this point of the broadcast, this is when we say both offense and defensive lines were clearly the most physical and the most dominant part of the game, and you see it in the stat report. Almost 450 yards total offense again. And, you know, other than Booker having a couple of really big runs, so that rushing yardage from the defensive side is even a little skewed because Booker popped off a couple of big ones, but 246 on the ground, 248 over the air, or total. And this Bison offense and defense once again shows it is the physically superior team.
Yeah, Indiana State just 10 first downs as you look at those stats from the North Dakota Certified Seed Producers. Another break. We'll take another timeout. We'll be back to wrap things up from here at Terre Haute after this. Back to wrap things up here in Terre Haute and a look at the football schedule, upcoming schedule for North Dakota State, starting next week with Youngstown. And again, ESPN3 only broadcast next week. There will be a pregame show preceding that kickoff, so stay tuned for that on the KVOI KFYR Bison Television Network. And then LT, myself, Ryan Gellner, Beth, Alex, and our entire crew will take you home for the final 5 matchups of the season, starting at home with Western Illinois, and then Northern Iowa comes to town in late October. But Youngstown State next opponent in front for North Dakota State. The Penguins and the Yotes are tied at 14 late in the first half at the Dakota Dome.
I don't think any of us are surprised by that. The USD has played really well, probably opened more eyes than any other team to this point of the season in the Valley. When you have Strebler playing so well at quarterback, we felt and still do that that game with Youngstown today will be a close one. So from the Bison standpoint, they hope those two teams are beating each other up a little bit.
Should be a good one down in Vermillion here this afternoon. No other games in the Valley are underway yet. Most of them are evening games. We've seen more and more of that in the Valley here this season for sure. Well, thanks so much for joining us on this telecast of Bison football here on the KVOI KFYR Bison Television Network. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you in a couple of weeks when we are back at home in the friendly confines of the Fargo Dome. Western Illinois comes to town. For Ryan Kellner, Lee Timmerman, and our entire crew here in Terre Haute, I'm Brian Shawn saying so long from Memorial Stadium. North Dakota State victorious again, 52-0 to move to 5-0. We'll see you in a couple of weeks back at Fargo.